Welcome to Caneswear.
New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans.
Welcome. We are live for another episode of Squared Circle Digest. Yes, you got me, Frankie Fresco, and my partner in crime is not here tonight. Unfortunately, Sean has gone out and had an emergency, and unfortunately, he will not be joining us. Or maybe he will. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess hopefully he will. I'm hoping he will. He told me, he was like, Frankie, you know what, man? You want to go live? Just go live. Just do it. I got you. I'm giving you the green light. So I was like, all right, fine. Let me wing it, right? So unfortunately for you guys are gonna have to listen to Frankie Fresco tonight all by himself. Now, if Sean does decide to come, I will go ahead and add him, but we will definitely I would like more interaction from you guys, because this is the first time I'm doing the Squared Circle by myself. This is not let me talk to you, so it's gonna be a little bit different. I have to get used to the hitting the commercials and all that stuff. That's not something I have on my channel. So, but guys, welcome again, another episode of Squared Circle Digest. Of course, Frankie Fresco here with you guys. We're going to talk a little bit about wrestling. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about. I talked about SmackDown. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw last night. And of course, we're going to talk about WrestleDream, AEW out there. So, yeah, I'm going to need your help, guys. I'm going to need you guys to go ahead and participate on the chat board, because this is the only way I'm going to be able to go ahead and keep up with this. It might not be a very long show, because obviously I'm riding solo tonight, unless Sean miraculously make his way. He's doing okay. He just had something to do at the last minute, so unfortunately he was like, Frank, I can't make it. But I see you guys on the chat board. Guys, don't forget to hit the like, don't forget to hit the subscribe on both my channel and Sean's channel as well. And I see you coming in. I see the first one, Steven Gonzalez saying, yo, my brother Frankie Freaky Fresco, the triple F. What up, brother? Hope all is well. Let's get it cracking on tonight. PS still waiting for that invite, homie. Yeah, I know. We gotta see what we do with the Miami Dolphins. We'll talk about that tomorrow on my show. Stan's father there. Good evening, guys. Yes, sir. Again. Terry, what up? And no doubt, Square Circle. Yes, I can blow up the chat. Yeah, I know, no doubt. I know you could blow up the chat. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about SmackDown. Let's start with SmackDown, because SmackDown, there was a lot of things that happened in SmackDown, and this is my issue with WWE. Sometimes they have no idea what the hell they're doing with the bloodline, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously the main event on SmackDown was Solo Sikoa versus Jimmy Uso, but the last couple of pay-per-views, it's always been the bloodline getting hit. They haven't been able to respond to what we expect from the bloodline. They sell it to us like, hey, the bloodline is supposed to be strong, powerful, and everything. And the last couple of pay-per-views, that you've seen them take L's left and right, especially Solo. And now all of a sudden they put him against Jimmy Uso, and then he wins and he defeats Jimmy Uso, which for me was a little bit of a shocker, because you're trying to, they're riding like this roller coaster, in my opinion. You got them beating Jimmy Uso. I guess it's supposed to make the bloodline a little stronger against Solo, a little bit stronger. But, he took an L against Cody and Roman Reigns before on the pay-per-view. So I don't get it. I see that, like, they want to keep doing this. They want to keep going ahead and pushing for them to go ahead and proceed. Oh, and you know what? Yeah, we are on next. Okay, perfect. And it's just confusing to me. I just feel like, hey, where are they going with this? Now, granted, I will say this. Obviously, you want the bloodline to, I guess, build up again. Maybe this is a run that they're gonna have, trying to stack it up one and one and one again. That way they can make it over there. But it's just I don't know. It just seems like they're very confused when it comes to what they kind of want to do with the bloodline. It seems like sometimes they want it to be a winner, and sometimes they want to make it like, yo, they're good enough, but they're not good enough to beat the headliners like Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. How do you expect the bloodline to like be able to compete when they're going up against one of those heavy hitters, against Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns or Randy Orton or KO, any of those guys? It's just frustrating because honestly, at the end of the day, you know, we're kind of left like in a conundrum. We don't know what to expect from the bloodline. Now, there is one thing that I did like about SmackDown. And that was obviously the match of Jay Cargill and Bianca Belair going against Lash Legend and Jakara. Now, I will say this: I was furious, furious that they screwed over that match. I liked the match, but it was furious that these girls only had like about 5 minutes to wrestle. I was like, what is going on here? Like, why are you showcasing these girls for like 5 minutes? It makes no sense. I was so upset at the fact that they decided to do the Kevin Owens, obviously, when Last Legend and Jakara was coming out. But then KO is out there. He grips the mic. He goes into the middle of the ring, and then he goes and he says, "Hey, look, you know what? At the end of the day, uh, they're not gonna suspend me or not allow me into the building and all that stuff." And then you see Cody Rhodes come out, and you see Randy Orton, and then the whole interaction with him and Randy Orton. I mean, once again, guys, it's just I like the fact that KO is finally being KO again, like he's becoming a badass. I prefer this heel move for KO for Kevin Owens, but I just felt like it kind of diminished a little bit from what us fans kind of wanted to see, which was Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Lashley and Jakara, because we have never seen them wrestle one against the other like that. And we want it, and keep in mind, it looks like they're trying to push the women's tag team belts more often to be showcased on the shows. So if they're pushing them, why are you kind of like screwing them over? It just doesn't seem right that they did that to those girls. And granted, I know that in Monday night they decided to go ahead and bring out Last Legend again and Jagara in the audience. But I believe, if I'm mistaken, this Monday night was recorded. So I think that's the reason why they were able to do a lot of these kind of like nuggets between what you saw on SmackDown compared to what was shown on Monday night, because they kind of had to record both of them back to back because they were going out. So it's a little bit disappointing, in my opinion, that you got these girls, unfortunately, we're not able to kind of like showcase themselves, especially since NXT is growing, in my opinion. I think they're doing really, really well. And No Doubt says, I like it. They have to create a story to bring in prior members. Solo as a little brother got one up on the big brother, and the numbers was too much for Jimmy and Roman. True. He claims Cody attacked them, and it's very confusing. It is, man. It's very confusing between those two. There's also Steven says, I know Jay has a title fight next Monday. Why do I have the feeling Jay's going to lose the match and set up to join the bloodline? I agree, Frankie. I don't understand. The NXT girls were at Raw too, though. It isn't done. I had some same thoughts. Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so the NXT girls, that was the only thing I kind of got disappointed when it came to that SmackDown. And I know I'm jumping around. I'm jumping around with SmackDown. I'm jumping around with Raw. But I was a little bit disappointed because of that, because they obviously cut them short. We did have the Nia Jax Naomi matchup on SmackDown, which was pretty cool. You actually obviously saw Naomi win, and it was a interesting situation, because obviously you had Liv Morgan come in as well, and Liv Morgan hit Nia Jax with the briefcase. So that was pretty cool. So now they're trying to incorporate Liv Morgan and Nia Jax because obviously those two are going to be fighting at Crown Jewel. So it was fun. It was interesting. I want to see if Naomi eventually is going to go ahead and maybe get even a title shot off of this. We still have yet to follow up. And then on Monday, this is the thing on Monday. So on that SmackDown episode, you guys saw that Jimmy was saying, "Hey man, we need help, dude. Like no matter what happens, we need help, man. It's not looking good for us." And obviously the question is now is who is Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso going to ask for help? Now you did see that Jimmy went to Raw and asked Jay to talk to him. And it looked like for a minute there, they were going to go ahead and recruit Jay Uso again. But Jay Uso kind of took a back seat. He's like, nah, man, I don't want it. I don't want this. This is not for me. Get out of here. So they basically, he didn't want to be there to support Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns. So that's kind of like the first sign of us seeing, hey, what's gonna happen here? Who are they gonna go ahead and ask to help them out? Because I mean, technically, I guess you could ask Cody because of the whole situation with Cody and what they've been doing with Cody and the fact that Cody has actually been working with them. But who else? And this is where I honestly feel that they're gonna go a different route. They're gonna go ahead and try to get a different bring in another wrestler, somebody else from that Samoa family to come in to help them out. I think that's what they're going to do as well. And that's how they're going to introduce another family member into the WWE roster. Now, on Monday, if you guys also saw, the show started with Rhea Ripley going ahead and calling out Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, I will say this. It was interesting that Tiffany was brought out as well for Monday night. And she was obviously, surprised Rhea Ripley. And at the end of the day, there's a very good chance that we might now start seeing Tiffany Stratton on the Monday Night Raw side because she does have money in the bank. And I think I like that. I like the fact that now all of a sudden they should bring her over to the Monday night and keep us guessing whether she's going to cash it in on Nia or if she's going to cash it in on Liv Morgan. And one thing I will say this, guys. Yesterday, when they had the main event, it was obviously at the end. They went ahead and they made the tag team match between tagging Rhea Ripley and um, the Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton together against um, Liv Morgan and Raquel. This was the interesting part. There was a part when obviously Nia Jax came out, and when Nia Jax came out and she kind of like annihilated Liv Morgan. Then all of a sudden, you got Nia Jax telling Tiffany, "Hey, cash in, cash in, cash in." And that seemed like the right move. And I'll tell you why. Like I was a little bit shocked that it didn't happen because if you kind of look at it, last night really, really put a hamper on Liv Morgan. Like if you look at how Liv Morgan is, haven't you noticed that Liv Morgan is great that she's the champion and it kind of feels like she's a champion because she's being sneaky all the time with Dom, but she just doesn't look like a strong champion, a strong women's champion. You saw how Rhea Ripley kind of dominates her, and then Nia Jax just pretty much demolished her last night. Like, so what do you expect if they fight in Crown Jewel between Liv Morgan and Nia Jax? You're gonna see Nia Jax pretty much annihilate her again because there's just no, I don't know, I just don't see anything new when it comes to Liv Morgan that says that she could actually kind of compete against Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I just think at the end of the day, it's just unfortunate that we're not getting any we're just not getting any particular like movement here. And I think I asked you guys this question. What do you guys think if, for example, Tiffany Stratton actually does cash in her Money in the Bank before Crown Jewel and actually cashes it in on Liv Morgan and actually wins. And then we get Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. Would you guys prefer to have that match than Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax? I think that would be a better match in my opinion. I think that definitely will make that fight more interesting and at least keep us guessing because again, I just don't see Liv Morgan any way, shape, or form for her to actually be able to defeat Nia Jax, especially in Crown Jewel. Let's see what some of you guys saying in the chat bar. Said I have Liv losing her title at Crown. Nia will set it up for cashing in the briefcase. This is the thing. On Crown Jewel, when Nia goes against Liv, neither one of their championships are on the line. They're just going for the Crown Jewel championship belt that they're doing. So maybe there's a chance that Liv Morgan loses, but if she does lose there, she wouldn't lose her belt. But I just for me, it just feels like you're not gonna get the most out of that match because it's so one sided, and they've been selling it to us that way. Liv Morgan, unfortunately, she's kind of small, and she hasn't had like really strong matches right now. I mean, she's been getting dominated, and I think just what they did to her yesterday on Monday Night Raw, it kind of put even more hamper on her because she's like she can't handle the big dogs out there. Um, no doubt says, what if Jay helps Solo? That would be a twist. That would be interesting if Jay does go and turns on the blood on Roman and Jimmy, and then all of a sudden goes to help the bloodline. But I just don't see Jay becoming a heel. He's just too big right now when it comes to him being a baby in Monday night. And talking about Jay, obviously, guys, you guys saw Jey Uso doing big things, and of course his feud with, of course, Braun Breaker. And now we're gonna get Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker again. And this time around, let me ask you guys: do you guys feel that Braun Breaker is gonna beat Jey Uso? Because it seems like, from the looks of it, obviously I get the feeling that that belt is gonna keep going from one person to the other. I feel like they're gonna keep alternating. I don't think that remember we had always Gunther have it for such a long ride. But now all of a sudden I don't know. I just get the feeling that this belt is moving up around for each wrestler. So one week, I wouldn't be surprised to have it on Jay for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden see it on Braun a couple of weeks. And you saw Braun; he was going up against Kofi, so I wouldn't be surprised if they even involve Kofi in one way or the other. I just think it's just I don't know what to expect when it comes to that belt. In a way, I guess it keeps us guessing, but it's kind of like we're looking to get like some final result. We want I don't know about you guys, but I don't want somebody to hold the belt like Gunther did for that long, but I do want it to be stabilized. So if you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna leave it on Jay, let Jay run with it for a very long time, I think. But if not, then what's going to happen is if we go ahead and we allow it to transfer hands again, and in this time it transfers over to Braun Breaker again, like, are we going to keep having this? Are we going to keep having, the belt switch from one guy to the other consistently? I don't know if that's a route that WWE wants, but for me, for some strange reason, in my opinion, I think at the end of the day, I think next week Braun Breaker is going to win again, and I think he's going to take the title. Let me see what some of you guys say on the chat board. There's a lot on inner show action recently. I'm a big fan. I expect Liv pull some sneaky win and Tiffy cashing it on Nia. I thought yesterday was a red herring. Okay, that would be cool. But if we put a major tamper on Judgment Day, that being if Liv lost her belt, I think Terry says, I think Charlotte eventually comes back and beats Nia Jax. You know what, Terry? That's funny that you mentioned that, because I was thinking the other day, I was like, where is Charlotte Flair? It feels like the women's division needs her back for just a split second, especially on the SmackDown side, because they've been running with this whole Nia Jax, Bailey, Naomi type of Tiffany type of vibes the last couple of shows. It's been going for a minute. It feels like Charlotte Flair needs to come in and challenge for it. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised that that could be something that would be interesting if Nia Jax does get defeated, or she wins, and then she's asking for like a next challenger, and then the one that pops up is Charlotte Flair, which would definitely get a huge pop because obviously Charlotte Flair, we haven't seen her for a while since her injury. So, and it would be nice to see, maybe Tiffany Stratton on the Monday Night Raw show. But again, I don't know. I don't know if they want to go that route, because what No Doubt did say is that it would hurt the bloodline. But think about it. Think about it, guys. The bloodline, I mean, not the bloodline, the Judgment Day. Think about it. The Judgment Day, hasn't the Judgment Day already taken a hit? Like, I feel like the Judgment Day already has taken a hit no matter what. Like, you see yesterday they had, for the first time, Raquel Rodriguez came and Liv Morgan presented Raquel Rodriguez over to the bloodline. And not even Finn Balor was there. Finn Balor walked out. So it's like you're getting this, like, the more and more the more and more you look at it, you kind of, I think the bloodline is gonna, I keep saying the bloodline. I think the Judgment Day is gonna eventually kind of run its course. I think it's gonna eventually crash, and I think they're gonna separate them. I think it's not gonna be something that we want to continue watching, because, like, you know, JD McDonough and Finn Balor, those guys are not fighting anybody in particular. Although there's rumors that there's a new tag team coming into, I believe, on SmackDown. So I think SmackDown is gonna have some new challengers. I don't know if it was SmackDown or Raw. I don't remember, but I know that there's a new group. There's a new, because on SmackDown, and hold on, let me remember who were these guys, because I think I had written it. I had seen it. And sorry guys, I haven't, like, I thought I was gonna have Sean on the show today. So like, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about today is just winging it based on what I have seen. I didn't have any notes on me for this show. But there is a tag team. If you guys remember, who was that tag team that they're thinking? Here you go, the Motor City Machine Guns. Those are the guys who are expected to make their way over to SmackDown, and they're gonna be the ones who are kind of going to be going ahead and being introduced. Apparently, I believe they're the ones who are going to be the opponents to, I think they're going to fight. If I'm not mistaken, it's probably, um who were they going to fight? It looks like they were going to fight the Street Profits. I think that's who were they going to fight, because I know the Street Profits were wanted contention to the tag team belts, and so did DIY, but they did not. But and I think Nick Aldis has said that, hey, we're gonna bring in a new tag team group, and I think the Motor City Machine Guns are gonna be the new ones, who are gonna be debuting on SmackDown this Friday. So there is, let's see what the chat board says. I have a strong feeling that Jay will lose it to Braun. It could set up a round 3 match for a major event. Let me ask you something, guys, and you guys can chime in on the chat board. And if you guys are watching on X or on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like or hit the subscribe. Do you guys find these repetitive matches interesting? Like, we have seen Carmelo versus Andrade, what, 6 times already? I think they're gonna go for the 7th one. Yes, this past Friday we saw LA Knight versus Carmelo, which is probably, I think, the 2nd or 3rd time that they match. And then I've seen also LA Knight go against Andrade El Idolo, and will see some way, somehow, maybe a triple threat match between those 3 guys at the next live event. And then on Monday night, you're pretty much getting the same kind of, like, rotation again, right? You're getting, all of a sudden, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, which is fine. I don't mind that. But there's just the same thing, like Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso, same guys over and over again. Like, it's kind of repetitive. I know they threw in Kofi, but it just seems kind of repetitive. Do you guys are you guys still invested in these matches, or are you guys falling, like, hey, let's move on? We need to move on from these matches because it's kind of getting boring. Like, I don't mind seeing maybe 1 or 2 matches between these guys, but then, like, let's say for um LA Knight and not LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade El Idolo going ahead and going up against each other for freaking, like, 6, 7 times, wouldn't you be tired of watching that over and over? And I know they have like, hey, kind of like a NBA type of draw, best out of 7 or something like that. But still, it's kind of getting a little bit tiring in my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Do you guys feel the same way? Did you see Rhea take that bump and her head land on Tiffany's heel? Luckily, it was a heel down. That was super dangerous. I did see that. I did notice that. Carlito was a fan of Raquel. He killed it again with the simple humor. Carlito was funny. He kind of stayed quiet there, but I saw what happened. And the Viking Warrior dudes, no, they're not the ones. What about the Viking Raiders? You know what? I haven't seen them in a minute. I mean, I think the last time I saw the Viking Raiders were in NXT, but they haven't. I don't know. I don't know what's the status on them. I think maybe they just haven't been. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they're just dealing with an injury or anything like that. I know that WWE was trying to get the Lucha Brothers from AEW over to WWE. That was supposed to be the other tag team group that they wanted to bring over, besides the Motor City Machine Guns. So I know that I know Tony stopped Ray Phoenix from being able to go to the WWE. I know Penta was able to sign. So it looks like that's going to be on hold in the meantime. But to see the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE, it's going to be pretty cool again, and see how they use them. And it's going to be again another new tag team group that's going to help push the tag team division into, you know, being more fun and more interactive for us to enjoy, and they could be more creative with it, of course. No Doubt says, I feel like Melo has been making mistakes and the feud with Andrade is draining. I think he meant is training or draining. I think it's draining. I mean, like I said, man, I think it's a little bit just too repetitive, man. Like when you got these guys going over and over and over and over and over, it kind of gets redundant to the point where you're like, man, do I really like let's get over this. Like I'm done. I want to move on, like I don't know. I guess in my opinion, I see it as something that's repetitive, and I want to see something a little bit different. Get to the point is what I'm trying to say. You want to make them three go at it eventually at the next pay-per-view, whether it's Crown Jewel or if it's a Survivor Series, then just get to it. Just go ahead and do it, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get, somebody to obviously, you know, add in there and showcase. Because again, let's talk about this. I'm no, and like I told you guys, I'm riding solo today. No Sean today. I know you guys are probably upset. I apologize. You got to hear me, but let's talk about how Monday Night Raw has changed when now that they've gone from 3 hours to 2 hours. Because this is the second show that they went with 2 hours, and I will say this show was a little bit more complete as far as like they knew how to organize it a lot better. Like I think I had spoken to Sean before and told you guys I was like I felt like that first episode where they had to run to 2 hours for the first time in a while. It felt rushed. It felt like they tried to throw so many things in there. This time around, all of a sudden, we have obviously it more cohesive, more organized to the point where hey, it was well taken care of. Now, I forgot to mention this to you guys because you guys didn't mention it. Yeah, the first round matchup between Alpha Academy versus the War Raiders. I think that's what you guys were talking about. That was the thing that people were talking about. That they wanted to go ahead and show, and then they have that tag team thing that they're going to be doing as well. I believe Rey Mysterio and the Dragon League's teaming up as well, and they're gonna be fighting as well. So it's like a tag team tournament. I don't remember I don't remember exactly what tag team tournament they were gonna do. Remind me, guys, because I remember they did mention that for next week they were gonna do the tag team tournament. It was gonna be um Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus somebody. Do you guys remember? I forgot who was that. Let me see. Tag team tournament. I forgot about who was the tag team tournament in WWE. I know they set it up. So apparently, let's see. Let's see if I could see what happens. Okay, yeah. So the Viking Raiders are returning. We had not seen them in a bit. And they're gonna go ahead and they're gonna go. Let me see. Viking Raiders. Yeah, that's 2 matches for episode. Okay, so the New Day will face the Authors of Pain, and there you go. Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee will face American Made. So that's what's gonna happen for the tag team tournaments. That's what I wanted to see, because I remember they mentioned that because they wanted to involve obviously Finn and JD Donna um into defending their matches. So I get what you guys are saying about it. Contenders tournament to fight Finn and JT. I didn't see what matches are coming. Yeah, so those are the 2 matches that they lined up for the next Monday night, which is gonna be, like I said earlier, the New Day versus the Authors of Pain and Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee against American Made. So it should be interesting. Obviously, they want to put some attention to the tag team division, and it looks like those 2 guys, JD and Finn Balor, will eventually have some new opponents to go up against. At the end of the day, one way or the other, I'm happy that they're involving the tag teams more in both shows. And I like the fact that on the women's side, they are bringing Bianca Belair and Jake Cargill on both shows. So they're showcasing, even though we got kind of cheated on Friday for like a 5-minute matchup, they obviously were able to go ahead and have that matchup yesterday, um, between them and the this girl's Damage Control, EO and Kairi Sane. So that matchup at least lived up to expectation. And like one of you guys said, I think No Doubt said it, Lash Legend and Jakara were on the audience. So I think the feud will continue. I wonder if they will go ahead and continue in a way in the NXT world. That would be interesting if maybe Jay Cargill and Bianca Belair make their way over to the NXT world and gets that done. I guess we will see. But No Doubt says, speaking about New Day, do you think White Six are coming for Xavier Woods? That Sean pointed it out last week that was a very good possibility, because Xavier Woods has been, again, if you kind of look at it, check this out, check this analogy. You know, when they were trying to go after Chad Gable, right? Chad Gable looked so lost, right? He looked like he was going, and he had Alpha Academy with him. Then he was upset. He was upset at Otis. He was upset at Max Dupree. And that's why I'm so disappointed that it kind of like, after that whole feud and that whole situation, Otis and Maxine Dupree and all them kind of been set on the backseat. We haven't seen them as much, and I really wanted Otis to continue to excel. I am happy about our truth and the Miz. I was happy that they brought that in, and they were able to squeeze that into the Monday night last night. But so when Chad Gable was going through these whole like ups and downs, didn't know who to trust, and was upset at these people, and he was upset at that person, and then he went to American Made and everything. That's when the White Six went after him, because he looked lost, and he looked like somebody who just didn't know, didn't have a home, didn't have a family. And if you kind of look at it, Xavier Woods is kind of running in the same situation. His family is the New Day, but with Kofi, all of a sudden he's having these tantrums. He's having these moments when all of a sudden we don't know what Xavier Woods we're gonna get. Are we gonna get an Xavier Woods that actually is gonna support Kofi, or are we gonna get an Xavier Woods that's gonna go ahead and turn on him? It makes sense for the White Six to go after him, because if you kind of look at it, I think WWE could make this kind of like something like rotational, where the White Six target wrestlers who kind of don't know their way, who look kind of lost. And I think they could make this, a cycle when it comes to how many wrestlers they could go after. And I think in a way it would not hurt the wrestler, and it would help the White Six, because you would be able to put a person to chase the White Six to go and hunt in their shape of way. Because at the end of the day, the White Six want, in my opinion, you could kind of sell the story as they want to, you know, kind of like seek and take advantage of people who are weak right now, people who are lost, people who are not in the right state of mind, I think that would work. And you could able to dish them out certain different opponents in that form of fashion, and you could rotate them. Obviously, Chad Gable was the first one. If you put Xavier Woods, who looks kind of lost, that would be another one. And then you could, I don't know, somebody else who kind of could look like. I mean, at one point you could even say maybe even Jey Uso can be lost because Jey Uso doesn't know who to pick, whether he picks his brother and Roman Reigns, or like when I think no that was saying, or Steven was saying about going ahead and making a plot twist and going to the bloodline, something like that. And I think that would help create opponents for obviously the White Six. I think that would be pretty cool. Um, that's a ticking time bomb. I think he'll turn on KK. Like a twisted learning tree. Yeah, kind of like a twisted learning tree. Kind of like a twisted learning tree. All right, talking about learning tree, let's shift topics over to the AEW side. And for all you guys that tuned in to watch WrestleDream, I want to know what you guys thought about WrestleDream. Did you like the show? Did you not like the show? Did you think they could have done something better? I'm going to tell you what happened with me and AEW and WrestleDream. So there was a couple of blunders and a couple of things that I was like, okay, this is not bad. So let's talk about AEW and WrestleDream, right? AEW and WrestleDream. We're gonna wait to the end to talk about that ending, because that ending was controversial, right? A lot of us, I don't know if you guys watch WrestleDream, but it is still controversial. But I guess in a way, it's kind of not that bad. So I remember I started watching it, and there was a couple matches. So I saw the Chris Jericho Mark Briscoe fight. That one was boring as hell. I didn't care about Chris Jericho. I thought that was kind of lame. The Darby Allin Brody King match was a pretty good match. The Jack Perry Shibata match wasn't so bad. The Young Bucks and Private Party kind of delivered. The Mariah May Willow Nightingale was a really good match. The Hangman Page Jay White, it's okay. Um, that random ass match between Hologram and the Beast Mortos, we'll talk about that. And then obviously Bryan Danielson, John Moxley. But let me talk to you guys about the match of the night at WrestleDream, and that was definitely Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. The international championship that was on the line, and everybody saw that Takeshita won. And not only was this a great match for AEW, but it showcased all three of them. And you know what? I was happy that Takeshita was the one that ended up winning the match. And you saw Will Ospreay and Ricochet take an L. And here's the thing about why I like this match. Obviously was high flying, man. All three of them were delivering. This was such an epic matchup. You had everybody flying up and down, twists, turns. You were looking at stuff that, man, if you didn't, I'm gonna tell you something. If you guys did not get to watch WrestleDream, tune into just that matchup. Like go online, try to find a link or try to see something or like a recap or the highlights of that match, because that match was the best match of the night. It delivered. Not only did it deliver as far as the in-ring stuff, but then you also had the twist. That's when Kyle Fletcher came out and he finally made the turn and turned on Will Ospreay. And unfortunately, now you probably will see Takeshita be the champion for quite some time. But now you're going to have also that feud between Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, which makes a perfect segue for them to go ahead and now have that feud, because they were best friends, and nobody was expecting Kyle Fletcher to turn on him at WrestleDream, but he finally did. We thought we were going to see the turn, and typically Tony Khan likes to spoil the turns on Dynamite, but he finally went ahead and got it right by doing it on WrestleDream. So Kyle Fletcher goes and eventually turns on Will Ospreay, which then allows Takeshita to win the belt. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think at the end of the day, Will Ospreay and Ricochet can still flourish, and they don't need to be champions in order for them to be able to be successful in AEW. Now, here's the thing. Me and Sean were talking, we were text messaging left and right during WrestleDream, and I said, what's going to happen now? What's going to follow this up? Because typically what happens is you have these matches that go all the way up, high flying, everything's exciting, and then all of a sudden the next match stuff kind of follows. We all kind of doze off and we go to sleep, right? But they actually did something well. They actually Tony Khan finally did something, and I hope he learns from it and he kind of does it in different ways. But he finally had, guess who? He made it calm for the fans. So after that match was over, the next thing we had was the return of Swerve. And Swerve coming out was refreshing because you're not expecting a high flying type of match or anything like that. You're just going to sit back and listen to what he has to say. And of course, I'm a big MVP fan, so I was happy to see that they incorporated MVP, and MVP came out and obviously had his first interaction with Swerve and was trying to convince Swerve to come into his business, the Hurt business, and become part of the group. But at the end of the day, Swerve decided to choose his family over the Hurt business. So I think at the end of the day, you got that reaction of the crowd that you wanted. You wanted people to kind of calm down, enjoy the show, and you got that by watching the interaction between Swerve, the interaction between MVP. Then you also had um that it Swerve denying MVP, saying, "Hey, I'm gonna stick with my family," which is his partner Nana I believe is his name. So that was pretty cool that he was you know a part of it and stayed with him. So now we're probably gonna start seeing a feud between Swerve and MVP, and then obviously Sheldon Benjamin is gonna probably be the next, probably the first person in line, which eventually will lead up to you know the premiere, in my opinion, of Bobby Lashley coming to the AEW world, which is kind of what we're all hoping for, or we're excited to see when Bobby Lashley makes his debut over to the AEW, because the word on the street is he did already signed. Now, I will say this. So let's retract a little bit here. Let me see what they say. Frankie, do you think Swerve eventually turn on Prince Nana? I thought he would have or he could have because of MVP, but as of right now, I don't think so. I think they're gonna run with Swerve going against Sheldon Benjamin, and I think the headliner eventually leading up to the next pay per view is gonna be Swerve versus Bobby Lashley, which in my opinion would be a banger of a fight. I think that's what we want to watch. That's what I want to watch. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I would love to see that matchup, Bobby Lashley versus Swerve. And I think eventually, that's what's going to lead up to it. I don't see Swerve making his way over there just because of the simple fact that Bobby Lashley is going to be making his way over to the AEW side. If Bobby Lashley wasn't making his way to the AEW side, then I wouldn't be surprised that Prince Nana would get screwed over by Swerve. And then, but look, think about it. It's hard for me. It's hard for me because once you start asking me these questions, like Terry asking me this question, it starts to like kind of think, what happens if Swerve all of a sudden turns on Prince Nana, right? And he's not with the Hurt Business. And then Prince Nana says, "Hey, screw this shit. I'm gonna bring my own guy." And then all of a sudden, Bobby Lashley is with Prince Nana. That would be a pop twist we would not ever expect it either. And then all of a sudden you have the kind of the roles reversed, right? Bobby Lashley was supposed to be in the Hurt Business, but now he's not. He's with Prince Nana. And then Swerve was supposed to be with Prince Nana, but now all of a sudden he was the Hurt Business. So that would be kind of creative if they did something like that. I don't think they're gonna do that, but that would be something kind of like out of the park that we weren't expecting. They hinted the turn on Dynamite. Good use of the angle. That is a story. Look at that. I mean, again, they did for a minute. They did, but I just don't see it. I don't see it now. Can we see it in the near future? Maybe anything could happen. It's wrestling. But what throws me off is Bobby Lashley, because I really feel Bobby Lashley is going to come to the AEW side. And the only way Bobby Lashley comes to the AEW side is by joining forces with MVP and Sheldon Benjamin and bringing back the Hurt Business, which a lot of us enjoyed it in WWE. And I think it would do really well in the AEW world as well. Now, let's talk about some weird thing that happened. And I was talking to Sean about this. So, you had the matchup, that high flying matchup, Will Ospreay, Takeshita, amazing, right? And then all of a sudden, you had Swerve, which they did a very good job with that. They had the Darby Allin versus Brody King, which delivered, man. What a fight. That was really good. And but before you that matchup, if I'm not mistaken, they had this matchup, which was the 2 out of 3 falls between mortals and hologram. And I'm talking to Sean and I'm telling him, I'm like, hold on a second. Why in the world do they have hologram versus mortals on a pay-per-view? Like, this is a pay-per-view because I looked it up. The pay-per-view was $50. I think if you bought it on YouTube, it was going for 34, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit cheaper depending on which or where you want to see it. I don't remember, it was I think it was either YouTube that was selling it for $60 or some I saw it somewhere where they were streaming it for $34. Here's the issue. Why in God's green earth are you gonna have mortals versus hologram be in a pay-per-view event? I mean, I like hologram. I like the beast. I love the beast mortals. I think he's great. But no offense to these two guys, do they really deserve to be right now on a pay-per-view? I don't think so. And the mortals, the beast mortals has been in collision all the time on and then on Dynamite. I mean, Mortals is fighting, man. And Mortals is kind of making that run like when Dominic Mysterio was like fighting every 2 minutes. Like, I think the Mortals is doing the same thing. He's fighting in every single show. It's insane. And then they put him on the pay-per-view. And then I was talking to Sean, and Sean tells me, Frankie, the reason they went ahead and they did this matchup was because they were introducing for the first time tonight, you know, um, the AEW wrestling, which is now going to be promoted on Fox Sports en Español, in Spanish. So that's why they, at the beginning of this match, they kind of went to the commentators on the Spanish side. And shout out to Ariel Levy, CCW in the building. He's one of the commentators there. So big moves for him being live over there and doing it. He's been doing it big over there. So if you guys ever gone to CCW, you guys will know who Ariel Levy is. So I understand the reason why they incorporated that match, but why would you put that match in like the middle of the pay-per-view? Why wouldn't you like either start that match at the very beginning of your pay-per-view, or you could have had them in the 0 hour? You could have easily shown them in the 0 hour and gone ahead and kind of like told people, hey, look, if you guys, watching it for a Spanish speaking audience, check them out as they're in Fox Sports en Español. And then there you go. You have it. Why would you put it right after that Swerve, segue with MVP? It kind of left you thinking, be like, what is Tony Khan doing? Like, it just didn't make sense to put that particular fight, which was a decent fight, but make that fight follow all this stuff that was kind of like doing well for you. And I will say this too. The funny thing about that matchup was, you kind of got the crowd kind of like disarray. They kind of like were like, okay, why are these guys here? Like, why are we seeing this matchup? These guys have never been in no storyline or anything of that nature. And they just stuck these two guys to just go against each other in a 2 out of 3 falls. It just felt like out of place. And it was just unfortunate that they went in that angle when it came to that matchup. Now, the other surprise that we got before we talk about obviously the ending was the fact that we got the return of MJF. And not only MJF comes out, but who do we also get running out there? He actually ran out there. Ran, ladies and gentlemen. And that was none other than Adam Cole, baby. He finally has made his way back into the AEW world. A lot of us were asking, what is going on here? Where is Adam Cole? And it looks like finally Adam Cole has finally made his way back and he looks healthy. So it looks like the AEW fans are finally going to get MJF one more time against Adam Cole. The crazy thing about this matchup is that look how things have turned. Remember when Adam Cole and MJF were together, and the last time we saw Adam Cole, he was getting kicked in the nuts by MJF. MJF was the baby and Adam Cole was kind of like the heel, right? But now the roles have reversed. All of a sudden now the baby looks to be Adam Cole and the heel is MJF, because you saw Adam Cole come out and you saw him, go after MJF, and MJF ran obviously for his life. And the people got a pop, and people were saying, baby, and Adam Cole got a really good pop. So it's gonna be nice to see Adam Cole and see where they go with this storyline with Adam Cole and MJF. And of course, it's also gonna obviously involve Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia um has that whole beef with um this whole beef with MJF. So it should be interesting to see where this goes when it comes to MJF, Adam Cole, and Danny Garcia. I do want to go ahead and make a big shout out to Private Party. They did a phenomenal job against the Young Bucks. I told you guys I was a little bit disappointed, because I was like, man, why is Private Party all of a sudden being one-on-one against the Young Bucks? We haven't seen these guys in a minute, or they haven't been wrestling or anything like that. Oh, and no doubt does say Hologram remains undefeated. I know. You know what's funny about that is that even though we say that Hologram is undefeated, one thing that was pointed out to me, doesn't Hologram undefeated streak kind of look like Goldberg's undefeated streak? Like, Sean mentioned it to me. He's like, yo, is Hologram gonna be the new Goldberg, where we're just gonna go ahead and have an undefeated streak? I was like, yo, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, if they actually keep Hologram, at like that Goldberg type of vibe. And if they really do, man, Jesus Christ, for sure AEW is following in the WCW ways, because that is definitely all day WCW when they did that with Goldberg. But anyway, so I wanted to give a shout out to Private Party, man. I mean, that was a really good matchup. They showed how their in-ring work is ridiculous, man. They find ways to just deliver like there's no other. And it just, the acrobatic moves and everything was a very, very fun matchup. Very cool. And then obviously you saw one of the guys from Private Party, when he lost and he took the count, he just balled up and he showed, how disappointed and defeated he was. He really wanted those belts from the Young Bucks. And I think that's what AEW kind of shines. I think what happens with AEW is there's certain wrestlers that you should let them kind of be themselves, because they'll sell themselves, and the fans will be invested, kind of like MJF, kind of like Adam Cole. Those guys are that good that you could invest on them by just them being themselves. And at the end of the day, people are gonna love them. What Private Party did, it helped them. It helped them, him crying, showing how much he really wanted that win, and then losing it. It just it stands out. And I think, hopefully, I'm praying that AEW realize that, to the point where they'll go ahead and they'll say, hey, you know what, let's go ahead and have Private Party more often, and still kind of incorporate them into the Young Bucks drama, or the Young Bucks, and maybe they could even run it back again, because they really did go ahead and really gave it all. And I think that's one thing that the AEW needs to do. Certain wrestlers can hold their own, and certain wrestlers need that help and they need that push. Private Party, just that moment right there. I believe his name is Zay. Yeah, because it's Isaiah and Zay, right? I think that's their name. No, it's Zay, and forgot the other guy's name, but Zay was the guy. Zay was the guy who was crying. Those moments is what stands out in AEW, and could lead a wrestler's character to being something bigger than what it was. So hopefully they find a way. But now, obviously, we've been going for almost an hour. Let's talk about the most controversial thing that happened in WrestleDream, which was the ending, which nobody expected, which was Moxley defeating Bryan Danielson. And all right, so let's talk about this, right? Because this is where a lot of us are gonna go ahead and be like, was this the right move for AEW? Where are they going with this move? What are they doing? So you all know that Bryan Danielson said that as soon as he loses, he's gonna retire, right? So that was the whole concept for Bryan Danielson. it was the matchup that a lot of us did not expect, where we weren't expecting Bryan Danielson to lose. But he loses, and we get a turn as well, obviously. Wheeler Yuta all of a sudden turns on Bryan Danielson, and we kind of had the feeling he was going to turn. It was only a matter of time before he did. They were just leading it up so much. It was crazy. So here's the controversy, guys. And you tell me if you guys agree with me or not. A couple of pay-per-views ago, they had the whole situation where, they had that bag over his head and all that stuff and trying to murder the guy right in front of, you know, a live audience and in front of, and they did it again. They basically had, this time, Wheeler Yuta go ahead and put a bag over Bryan Danielson and kind of like try to kill him. And it just, do you guys enjoy this? Do you guys find this interesting? Did you guys find it like, yo, I really am involved? I'm really invested in this. Because for me, when I saw that again and I saw that they were doing that, I just always feel that that's a little bit too extreme on my end. And believe me, I used to watch ECW. I used to watch. I've gone to indie shows where I've seen extreme stuff left and right. I mean, till this day, one of the most horrific things I've ever saw was at CCW, that street fight where Cha Cha Charlie got busted wide open because he took a bad fall on one of the steel steps and cracked his head open. The guy was shedding. Like, if you thought Drew McIntyre was bleeding like crazy at bad blood, that was nothing compared to what I saw that night at that CCW indie show event. That was murderous. It was crazy. It was blood everywhere. It felt like it was a murder scene out there. So, do you find them putting a bag over Bryan Danielson and choking him out, like trying to kill the guy, entertaining? Is that something that you guys would like watch? Did you guys even watch that? Like, for me, I thought that was a little bit overboard. I don't need to see that. I get the turn. I get the fact that you could beat him up, beat him up to the point you could probably, I don't know, get a chain, hit him in the face, do whatever you got to do to knock him out. And then you obviously saw all the AEW wrestlers come out. Darby Allin was out there. I think Orange Cassidy was another one I think I saw out there. So they all came to Bryan Danielson's help. And then obviously Bryan Danielson got stretched out. And it just, for me, this is the first kind of like pay-per-view that it left a lot of people with that feeling of what the hell just happened. Like, and not in the sense of, hey, what the hell just happened by how gruesome it was, but more the sense of like, this is how you're ending the show? Because it ended with Bryan Danielson getting choked out on that with that bag. And then you see Bryan Danielson getting carted off. You see the commentator, I forgot his name, from AEW, not Shivani, but the other guy. He was bawling, like, literally, man. He was crying his ass off because Bryan Danielson had gotten beat up and had been, you know, there you go, Excalibur. That's who it was, Excalibur. Excalibur was bawling, like crying, like if he was a baby out there. And I was watching and listening to a lot of other wrestling podcasts, and they were saying, shout out to AEW for going ahead and selling it to us, right? You saw Darby Allin down, weeping, kind of like distraught. You saw Excalibur crying. They sold it to us. They sold us the fact that, hey, look, Bryan Danielson is dead. He's dead, and he's gone from AEW. So I will give them props for that. But a lot of people were criticizing it because I think this was the first time in AEW that we don't see, like a happy ending. This was more of like a depressing kind of ending. You got Bryan Danielson getting destroyed out there. You got people crying. You got the whole AEW roster, like, you know, distraught and sad and devastated. It just felt like, was this the right ending for AEW and their pay-per-view? And a lot of people were criticizing them, saying no, they should not have ended it. Some people said it was good because they needed to have something different. And this is how you create storylines. A pay-per-view does not have to always end in a good note. And that's fine. My issue here is, could they have done it a different way? Could they have gone ahead and done it in a different manner? Like when you look at WWE and when you see the heel win, what is usually the case? You usually see, I'll give you an example, Bloodline, right? Bloodline comes out, Bloodline goes, beats the crap out of Cody, beats the crap out of Roman. What do? They stand in front of them, they lift their hands up, and there you go. That's the ending of it. Never to the extreme where you're trying to choke him with a bag. Never to the extreme that, you have anybody, and I'm talking about recently with WWE. I don't think I've ever seen WWE, at least in my lifetime, choke somebody out in a bag. That's just me though. But it just felt like it was just a little bit too extra, man. It was a little bit too gruesome for us. And I don't know, man. I think sometimes AEW kind of takes it an extra level that doesn't need to be taken that way, man. Just show us, him getting beat down, you know, getting destroyed, getting continuously. Look how when Bronson Reed did Seth Rollins, how he kept, that big beast kept jumping on him, and until the point he injured him, and he eventually they had Seth Rollins out because of an injury. That's kind of like what they should have done with Bryan Danielson, but no, they went ahead and they choked him. They just choked him to death apparently, and I think that's what a lot of people were criticizing, was the fact that they were like, "Is this the ending that you want to see?" And also, is this the last time we see Bryan Danielson? The last time we see Bryan Danielson is getting a bag over his head and getting him choked out? I highly doubt it, but it's just it just left a bad taste in my mouth. That's all I thought about when it came to that. So, and storyline, I like the idea that it was not a happy go around ending, but I also did not like the idea that they had to go that extreme. I think they could have just beating him down left and right, use the chain, do whatever you got to do, and just, you know, end him that way where, they were banging on his neck for so long. I don't know why they could have just done that. They could have, what they could have done? They could have done what like Christian and Edge do, where you put the chair into his neck and you slam the chair shot like that type of stuff, because that's not as crazy. It's not as gruesome as like putting a bag over his head. I don't know, man. That was just insane in my end. No doubt says maybe that was just the end of the American Dragon. Do you really think the American Dragon is really gonna? That's the end. I mean, he could come back as something else, but that's always been his name outside of the WWE. Like that's how he's been ever since he came to AEW. So it's like I don't know, man. I think and remember, I know he wants to retire because he said he only had like about a year left in his career. So it's like, do you bring him back all of a sudden? I mean, and can you bring him back with the final countdown song? They keep playing that song like crazy. So Tony Khan is getting his money's worth for that. But I don't know, man. It says the tears could have been real because of the emotion of seeing his time end. I don't know, no doubt. I think at the end of the day, bro, it was I don't know if this, you know, look, in a way, props to AEW because now I don't know about you guys, but I'm interested to see what happens. Now, knowing AEW, they'll probably just recap it and then they won't specify anything more out of it. They're not going to bring anything afterwards. If I was AEW, what I would do or I would have done was that I would have filmed something afterwards, like right after the paper was over off cameras, and then promote it on Wednesday Dynamite. Like, for example, you know, probably they could have gone and put in him in an ambulance or something. And then you see, the other wrestler that has had, but you don't see that at the pay-per-view. You show that recording on Dynamite. And then all of a sudden, when you're showing that on Dynamite, you start getting you get reactions from, like, you have a reporter come out there and be like, Darby, what do you think about this? What's going on? Or Orange Cassidy or whoever is backstage, talk to me and be like, what's going on? And then think about it that way. And then what AEW could have gone ahead and done. Oh, wait just a minute here. Somebody is joining us from downstairs. What's going on, sir?
What's up, man? Sorry about that.
You made it. And you know what? I was about to end the show because I was only gonna go for about an hour, and I was like, man, I wonder if Sean still makes his way over.
I just made it. But you can. I know you've been going for a while now, so if you have to, end it, you can end it. But I was just wanting to jump on and.
No, man, we could definitely talk about it. But I was talking. I don't know how much you were watching, but I was just talking about how I think what AEW has to do when it comes to pushing this whole new storyline and what happens to Bryan Danielson after this defeat. I think like I was saying, I think they should have recorded something and then show it on Wednesday. That way we could kind of have more emotions of what the fan of their wrestling, his friends and all that are dealing. I hope they don't just abandon it. You understand me? And just leave us in the black, and then they don't bring it up, because what I tend to feel that AEW might just do is they might just go ahead and bring in, like, they'll have Wheeler Yuta come out and probably talk and say, this is the reason why I turned on Bryan Danielson. So I hope that's not the only thing they do. I'm pretty sure that's probably what they're gonna do, but I hope that's not the only thing they do. I hope they do more than that.
It honestly depends on which way they're gonna go with the angle. To me, because there's so much deep into this angle, and the more I hear people talk about it, the more I'm like, I wonder if that's where they're gonna go. So, for instance.
Hold on a second before we continue. Hold on. Much better. This is better.
Oh no, you're good up there. You've been running the show the whole day, man. So I don't know if you heard Bully Ray's comments. Remember this match was the best wrestler getting beat by one of the best wrestlers with a wrestling move. He choked them out. AEW says we're the best wrestle, and that's exactly what happened. And then the other thing that hit me was this. When they sent people down to say Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson. I almost said, I thought I was thinking saying Dan Bryan, but Bryan Danielson was Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Daniel Garcia, the considered future of AEW. And one of the things I heard, and again, I don't, I'm not going to sit here and say I go down every rabbit hole and everything else. But when I heard this guy talk, I was like, because when John Moxley was like, we need to sacrifice one so that the many can survive, was he saying Bryan Danielson's the one that needs to leave so these young guys can start to thrive?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Why?
Because
Bryan Danielson said, I'm here until I lose the title. Moxley says, I need to save AEW. For as long as Bryan Danielson, and everybody was saying he brought down the thing because he wanted Yuta to be a sure guy, not do whatever it takes to win, which is what Claudio does, which is what Moxley does, which is what they've been trying to instill in Yuta. They said, Danielson poisoned his mind and made him pure and this and that. And then you see what happens at the end of the match. He looks at Bryan Danielson, and he says, sorry. And he puts the bag over his head.
Don't you think it was a little bit too extreme?
I mean, I thought you could at least give him the Sweet Chin music. Then they get Rolexes on Wednesday. I mean, no. I mean, look, they're pushing the envelope, man. Whether you like it or don't like it, people were talking about it, man.
They were.
The only thing I did not like about it is it's the same ending 2 pay-per-views in a row.
Yeah. I was telling you before. You keep getting this whole, choking in the bag and all that stuff. I honestly thought that was a little bit too extreme. What they could have done, because they were aiming on his neck consistently in that matchup, was they could have done the chair shots that Christian and
they ended up doing a chair shot too. Claudio stepped on a chair with his neck in it too after he did the back, whatever there. But and the other thing that was said during this thing too was, if you watch Darby Allin outside, you watched Orange Cassidy, you watch Daniel Garcia, it's like right there, they're changing into seriousness. If you watch them, they don't have the laughing. They got the the tears, the look of like, what the hell just happened? But it's serious. It's no, no thumb up, no Darby doing his stuff. It's them like, and it's those three side by side. Everywhere you look at the end of that show, those three were in the picture.
But my question is,
Brooke weaseled his way in too, by the way, but whatever.
My question is, where do they go with this? Because if Brian Danielson, I won't say Brian Danielson decides to retire, and that's the last.
Well, no. Remember, the way they get you is it's his full-time career's over. So he can come back and do a one-off and go after the title, but he won't go after the title now because he's not a full-time wrestler. He's going to want revenge on Moxley. Forget the title. I don't need the title. I'm not a full-time wrestler anymore. I'm coming for your ass.
Well, then that means that Moxley needs to lose the title. I mean, I did like the fact that Moxley put the title inside the bag and said, I don't give a damn about this.
Present it to somebody.
Mm.
I feel like they put in the bag like they're going to present the money to somebody. Like when you rob a bank or where you put the money in the bag and you get it somewhere and you hand it off or whatever. I feel like that's what we might get on Wednesday. But them going into a room, placing it on a desk. Maybe by the end of the show, you'll figure out who's behind the desk. If anybody. It might just be Moxley at the end being like, it was me the whole time.
But
it was me, Austin. It was me the whole damn time.
Wouldn't it be perfect at this point in time? Wouldn't it be perfect for them to bring Shane McMahon on this? Like this all has,
but almost now, like it's a moot point at this point. Like if you would have brought him out, then I think it makes more sense to bring him on he needs to be a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what you just finished saying about them putting it on a desk,
I mean, if you hint the desk for shows up until the next pay-per-view,
yes,
maybe that makes sense, but not doing it. But again, it's AEW, and again, not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. It's a little different to have everything happen on AEW. And the other thing that with the Bryan Danielson thing, which was pointed out to me, his last match on Raw was Seth Rollins. His last match in the WWE was Roman Reigns. The last match of his career was Jon Moxley.
Wow. The whole Shield, baby. The whole
Shield, baby.
Hold on. Steven says, I was having dinner in back, baby. My boy Sean, we missed you, brother. I know, right? Just isn't the same without Sean. Just gets a different flavor when we have Sean on the Squared Circle. You guys could do without Frankie.
Has Josh been in yet? Is Josh in yet?
Josh has not been in. We've had No Doubt. We have Steven. We've had Terry. We had your dad.
Now, his wife said something to me today. They came up to the Big Cheese while we were there.
Oh, how was the Big Cheese?
Now, and I cannot unsee it anymore. Now, what I said, I texted you. I wasn't sure I was going to make it on the show. But now I look at you and I see it.
I don't know how you could compare that to me. I don't know. I don't. What? How do you see it? Tell me. Tell me how you see it.
What's the cheekbones?
The cheekbones?
Yeah, I think it's the cheekbones, man.
Okay, maybe the cheekbones. Yeah, I do got funky cheeks.
And so I can tell everybody real quick. I was told that Frankie Fresco reminds somebody of Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck, bro.
Daffy Duck.
Suck it and suck it. Shit, whatever. Even goes, Frankie was crying so much he was about to leave. Thank God you shut up. Yeah, I know.
I know Frankie can handle his own.
I was drowning out here, bro.
No way, man. No way, buddy. No way.
Thanks.
Did you talk about the Osprey match and everything? And you did all
that? Of course. That was great. That was the best match of the night. I think that was the one that delivered the most, and I think the one that comes right after was probably the Willow versus Mariah May. I didn't talk too much about that matchup, but that matchup I enjoyed it as well. I thought that delivered. I thought I did talk about Hologram and the Beast Mortals when they should not have been in that particular.
But I think that's going to be that ESPN Mexico thing. I think you're going to see that more often now.
Well, I think it's Fox
match there. Fox. I'm sorry, Fox Mexico, not ESPN Mexico. Sorry, Fox Mexico. I think you're going to get at least one match every pay-per-view, and not on the 0 hour. You might get one on 0 hour too, but You'll get more on.
What I was saying about that matchup is I think they should have just put it somewhere differently on the
I just
show.
don't understand why it was 2 out of 3 out of nowhere.
That's another thing I said. I was like,
just
how?
have a one-on-one and have a great match.
Yeah, and how did they come up with? Hey, let's just put Hologram versus the Beast Mortals. Like, who made that?
I know they've
decision?
been doing some things, but like in 6-man action on Collision and Rampage, the shows that not a lot of people watch.
No, nobody watches.
But because that's what they did the LFI. You got Roosh now with Beast and is it Mystico? Who is it? Which one is it? I'm sorry.
It might be. I think it is Mystical.
Yeah, with Jake Roberts now. So
no doubt. I mean, no doubt loves Hologram, bro. I'll tell you that one. And I did mention to the fans and the viewers that you mentioned that maybe AEW is doing the Goldberg with Hologram. Where
he's gonna get it now. Especially Goldberg showed up on WWE. Oh, Hologram's going 195-0, baby.
That's crazy.
195-0.
That is intense. That is some extra new stuff when we do that. And then I did mention how Chris Jericho versus Briscoe, that was like your bathroom break. Yeah. That's when you want to go to the bathroom. To be honest with you, I went to the bathroom after that. Like,
no, I did too, but I got back to watch the ending. It wasn't terrible, but
it was okay. But
I like Mark Briscoe though, so
I like Mark Briscoe too.
I don't mind Jericho as long as he's like the attraction. Like that's a perfect thing for him. He doesn't need to wrestle every AEW Dynamite. I mean, you got Keith and freaking the Redwood for that. You don't need Jericho wrestling every fracking show. Succotash.
I mean, that's true. I don't. And then anything else I spoke about WrestleDream? I think I covered the ending, the Moxley. The Young Bucks with Private Party was a good matchup as well. The Darby Allin, Brody King. See, that's one thing that I really would have liked. I think you didn't need a Hologram and the Beast Mortals in that particular slot because I honestly felt that the Darby Allin Brody King matchup right after was a really good match. So they did a perfect segue with the whole Swerve and MVP and the Hurt Business and all that stuff.
I think they're learning how to set up. Because the last 2 shows, it was Mercedes Moné after Ospreay. That wasn't working, bro.
Yeah, no.
No, you got to do something like what they did. I think you're right. They did a great job this time of figuring out, like, hey, we need something in the middle there because nobody can follow that. You can't just go right into another match. Like, that doesn't work, man.
Mm-hmm.
After they just watch that, and what are you going to do? The only match that might have been able to do it was the Mortos match if they followed right after. I'm saying, and that's only because of the aerial moves. Now, not saying any of the like technicalities, they don't reach that at all. But at least Hologram doing his flying stuff, you'll get some oohs and ahs and oh shits and this and that. Whereas Mercedes Moné and the WWE style she still doesn't work after you watch that. It doesn't work.
Absolutely not. No. But I honestly thought that they did a really good job in putting that MVP Swerve segment in between.
I thought it was odd to me, and I guess I realize now that I have more WWE followers than AEW because I put out the poll like, what was the C won? Like I didn't think that was a C pay-per-view. I thought it was a B, at least a B. I didn't think it was terrible.
Well, I'll tell you what. The
problem I think they got now is there was no other than the ending. There wasn't that. There was great moments in that pay-per-view, but other than the Ospreay thing and then the ending, there was no like, oh shit.
Yeah, I mean their hit moment was when MJF and Adam Cole came out during that Shibata Jack
which was fight. Uncalled. I mean, I just felt like that was that overbooking thing again.
I felt like
they tried to redo the Bryan Danielson Adam Cole debuts again.
Yeah,
when Adam Cole debuted, and then everybody thought it was going to be Bryan Danielson, and then they were all in the ring hugging, and then Bryan Danielson music hit.
But the only difference was that was at the end of a show. That this one was like in the middle of a show, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't think it hit. It worked, but it just wasn't It was good because now obviously it's good to see Adam Cole back, and it's pretty cool to see now how the roles have reversed, where MJF is now the heel.
That's the other
and
thing too. Is everybody's like, "Oh, how does Adam Cole come back a babyface?" Well, MJF's the heel. He beat the shit out of him, so he's going to come back to attack. It's how you want to look at it. Is he the babyface, or he's just coming back to tear a hole in MJF, and now people are cheering him? Like he's not coming out holding a sign saying, "Hey, I'm the babyface."
No, people were cheering.
Doing good with that. Like, hey, you cheer for who you want. Yeah. I love when that happens because look, man, with Hangman Adam Page, you know, he thinks I haven't done anything wrong. It's everybody else. Everybody's against me. You know what I'm saying? And you got people that look at it that way. So it's just like I don't understand. Everybody jumped on the thing of like that makes no sense. Now the one that I will say is the Statlander one was a little bit, although they're doing a little bit of a, I don't know what you call it. I wouldn't say crisis control because it's not really crisis, but they're trying to explain how she was down and Stokely got in her ear and I saw that. They're at least doing a little bit of a story to it now, but I feel like that should have happened before she confronted Camille. Like the stories could have been out there and then she confronts Camille. Then it makes more sense. But to see her confront Mercedes Moné and Camille and then play the story feels like it's like crisis control. Like, oh wait, we messed up. We forgot something. Hold on.
Yeah.
But they are fixing it, so I don't have an issue with that, man. I don't have issues with that. Everybody's like, oh, he's a babyface now. The AEW makes no sense. They got issues. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think that's one of the issues. MJF came back as a heel. He's not a babyface anymore. So what? Adam Cole's going to come back as a heel too?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. So
and we are getting Adam Cole tomorrow on Dynamite. He's actually
yes, we are. And there's also a 6-man tag, the Conglomeration against the Elite.
See, but there you go. You see what they just did, because look, the Conglomeration, right? You just finished pointing out that at the end of the whole Moxley Bryan Danielson situation, you got a different view from Orange Cassidy, but now they're still sticking with his group. So what was the point of that? Like,
I think you got to see the change happen. I don't think the change is going to happen overnight. I think you're going to start seeing darker sides of Darby, you know, a more serious side of Orange Cassidy, maybe small things, incremental, because you got to remember, I don't think everything's going to be full blown until Bryan Danielson can return. Because Bryan Danielson's going to need people behind him to take on, you know, the Blackpool Combat Club or whatever they're going by now. So, because you got Yuta, you got Moxley, you got Claudio, you got Pac. And right now you got Bryan Danielson. And obviously it's going to be Bryan Danielson, Darby, Orange Cassidy, and Daniel Garcia, I believe. And again, maybe they just threw them out there to throw them out there, but it is going to be interesting to see when that does happen. And then also, again, the other thing is this now, and I don't know where they stand with this, but supposedly Bryan Danielson went in with a pretty messed up neck. Seriously.
Really?
I don't know how much of it is storyline, how much of it is whatever, but you know, everybody's saying, oh, sooner or later he's going to need neck surgery. My understanding was they found out it was going to be sooner. So that's part of why this was done. But now also, when you do neck surgery, there's not a great timetable on when things are going to be going back to normal.
It's true.
So I don't know how they're going to play this. Is it going to be slow played, or are they going to put those three together at some point and then wait for Danielson to come back in? Because you can't stretch this out forever. I mean, I think they messed up when they tried to stretch out the whole thing with the Devil once Adam Cole got hurt. Hopefully they learn from their mistake and they say, okay, if it goes too long, let's just end it. Because they did that whole Devil thing. I thought it was worked out great. Problem was it couldn't go anywhere because everybody was out.
Yeah.
So if this whole thing's about Bryan Danielson, he's going to be shelved for a long time. How do you slow roll it?
Unless
you work this?
Unless what you say works out. Because remember what we talked about when we were talking about the whole Devil? We were like, the Devil shouldn't be Adam Cole. The Devil should have been Tony Khan, right? So in this particular case, by them putting that championship belt inside that bag and then putting it maybe on the desk, then it kind of deviates from Brian Danielson so much, and now it brings to the fact that who is this guy or who is this person or what's going
How
on?
about
Who is directing traffic here
yeah?
to make Moxley and this crew all of a sudden be ruthless and want to destroy everybody?
They can
That's
still do Tony Khan too, man. I mean, look, Tony. Everybody can be like Tony Khan went with Brian Danielson to the hospital and everything else. He can still be that guy,
good. I just
but
don't think it wouldn't have the same
he
pop.
also knows for his company to grow, he needed Brian Danielson out. How about them
Mm,
apples, huh? I need my company to grow. Brian Danielson's not the guy.
But then here's the issue, because then if you bring that type of concept, then why didn't he start working with the EVPs, with the Young Bucks and Shibata and all them? Because that was kind of like their role right now. Their role was, hey, we're taking over. We
Yeah,
call the
but it
shots.
wasn't. It wasn't the title shot though. It wasn't there. I mean, you had Okada do that, whatever the hell that was, 20 minutes, his title, and then the title on the line. But the thing that they could do is end up having, TK be that guy just to throw a wrinkle in there, man. I mean, because then here's the other thing. Now Brian Danielson can return as a GM, as a co-owner, as a whatever else, and now you got Danielson versus TK. He doesn't have to return full time because he's not full time. He's part time.
Or you bring Shane eventually, and then all of a sudden Brian Danielson comes back as a GM or something like that.
Or how about
it'll be
this?
Brian Danielson against Shane O'Mac, and then you have like the wrestlers behind each one of them.
I love the good old double swerve. How about if TK thinks he's pulling the strings, but it's really Shane O'Mac? And then they turn on TK, and TK needs to bring somebody back in to have his back, and it's Brian Danielson. Then you get your Shane O'Mac, Brian Danielson, because TK's not getting in the ring.
No,
Although I don't think Shane O'Mac's wrestling anymore either. I think with the double quad tears and everything else, I don't think he's doing much of. But it would be great to have him standing outside or something. It'd be a little bit of buzz.
I think it will be. AEW has potential of making it a storyline. Now, are the fans going to be invested? I don't know, because look, even Wheeler Yuta went ahead and reposted on X saying, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, Brian Danielson, and enjoy retirement." And a lot of people are not sold into Wheeler Yuta. He only had and AEW reposted that tweet, and I think I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find it. It was somewhere around here, but he only got like about 200,000 like
but again, that
289.
That was sent out so that they can use it down the line. I guarantee you.
Yeah, but
remember
that also gives you
Dynamite. Remember the Wednesday night Dynamite? I can't remember if we were talking.
No,
it was Tuesday night. I said, look, Wheeler's reaching out for him, and Brian Danielson's like, yes, and Wheeler Yuta's like, help me, I'm dying here, buddy, help me, and he's like, yes, and I was like, this is gonna play into something.
Yeah,
it just didn't make sense because Yuta's just reaching for him, like, help me, Brian, help me. And I was like, yes. I'm like, this is going somewhere, man.
See, but here's the thing. I think these tweets and this stuff also kind of gives you an idea of as to how invested the fans are. And when you look at Wheeler Yuta and you only see 290,000.
Yeah, but how many is AEW getting in general?
All right, so let's see. For example, they're not getting a lot.
Not the wrestlers. I'm talking AEW. They have their social media has gone like it just doesn't work, man.
Yeah, because I'm looking at their, like, I'm on X right now, right? And I'm looking at their stuff, and apparently, I guess tomorrow, FTR is going against Big Bill and Brian Keefe. Well, at least we're not getting Jericho. That one, they tweeted that out 43 minutes ago, and they only have 44,000 people look at it. Let the one that they said that Adam Cole is coming out to, because I think they did that one earlier today. 11 hours ago, they put All Elite Wrestling AEW Dynamite tomorrow. Adam Cole returns. They have a picture of Adam Cole. They have a picture of him returning. They only got 23,000 people who looked at that post. So it's like they are nowhere to where they were before in their social media. And they have 1 million followers. So it's not like they don't have the followers, but not even their followers are actually looking at the stuff that they're posting, which is kind of like it goes hand in
It's
hand with the ratings.
everybody wants to talk about ratings and they don't matter. And honestly, right at this point, it's not that they matter, but the fact that you can't keep a consistent number and your number's going down every week says you can't keep people constantly in tune with your product. So, and Cheyenne, how you doing?
This is the thing. Like, I like the stories that they're developing, but they just need a huge pop, man. They need, and I've already mentioned this to you before. I
Yeah, but
said
they've lost the casual wrestling fan that for
They
right
have.
now. Again, they might be able to get them back if you bring in Shane O'Mac. But the thing is, I feel like they thought they were going to get the casual wrestling fans by bringing in the WWE guys.
yeah,
Like, oh, they're poppy, so they'll just translate over,
and that ain't working.
and it doesn't translate over because of their product right now.
No. And not only that, but even if you bring in, obviously Ricochet he wasn't huge, and I mean a lot of people liked him, but a lot of people didn't like him in WWE. So you're not gonna get that much. I still think he's doing a better job in AEW than in WWE already because they let him do
They
him,
let
you
him
know.
be him.
So, but I think at the end of the day, like, man, if Tony Khan, here's the thing I go with.
All right,
If I had no, if my company was on the line, like I had to start making moves. If not, we're gonna get screwed over. We're gonna lose it. The only way you're gonna get AEW and you get people watching, man, is joining the dark side. And I know it's controversial and I know it's crazy, but you gotta bring Shane and Vince McMahon into AEW.
I don't think you bring Vince. I don't think you bring
You gotta bring Vince.
Shane.
Man.
You bring yes.
You
Vince
bring
brings
Vince.
nothing.
He
Vince
brings
nothing.
he brings, bro. He brings.
No, he won't.
People will he brings.
They might
And
tune that first show, but after that, it's going to be like, oh no. buddy.
and not only
Now,
that.
here's
and
the
not-
other thing I have to ask you: this is the squeeze worth all the baggage that comes with it?
That's why I said if the company was on the line, I would do it.
See, that's what I think. That
The company
puts it
isn't it?
worse.
The company isn't though.
No, we know that. But I'm just saying, like, I think Shane O'Mac, yes. And I think what they need to do is forget trying to be, they're always like, oh, we need to reinvent the wheel. Why are you reinventing the wheel? The wheel's been invented. Yeah, you can take and put straws in the spokes and cards and make different sounds and everything else like that. But the wheel is the wheel. There's only so much in pro wrestling you can do. And
Man, a lot of you guys are saying no Vince.
No, I'm telling you, man.
This is the thing, though, Sean.
But the thing is,
there's one thing about Vince we know.
Story, and we say this all the time. If you have the stories, you'll get people to invest. If they invest in the characters, then they'll invest in your show. The problem is they've never. Here's the people they get people to invest in: MJF, Bryan Danielson. Who else do people invest in?
But here's the thing. Think about this. You bring Vince McMahon,
no,
right?
And
then people go crazy, and then Vince McMahon is in the back, right? And then all of a sudden, there's a segment that they're talking with MJF, and all of a sudden, and here comes Vince McMahon next to MJF, and Vince McMahon goes ahead and looks at him. And then MJF looks at him, and then here's the alliance between MJF and Vince McMahon working together.
Yes.
Dude, you're going to get a pop.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to get a great pop. But here's my question for you.
You're going to get MJF to blow up even way more because if there's one wrestler that AEW fans like, whether he's a heel or whether he's a babyface, the only problem with his character is that he's so up and down, up and down, up and down. They never keep him like in a straight for a while, is MJF. MJF is the guy that should lead the AEW, brand all the way. And the best way to do it is by teaming him up with one of the most evil, psychotic, crazy person in Vince McMahon, in my opinion. And I'm telling you right now, you team those two guys up, Jesus, people are going to tune in, man. And not only that, yes, Vince McMahon, he had his old ways. Yes, when he was running the WWE shows, people were losing interest. But you bring him into AEW, he's gonna have a chip on his shoulder because obviously the whole situation with all of the WWE people wanting to release his lawsuit stuff and all his NDAs and all that stuff. I'm telling you right now, Vince McMahon is gonna come with like, hey, I'm gonna go after WWE and I'm gonna whoop your ass. And I think that's why it would succeed in AEW.
Okay. But now you lose the locker room.
Do you?
Well, Mercedes Moné walked out, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh, let's pay her $4 million and let's bring in the person she hates the most.
That's a good point.
Okay.
That's a good point.
All right.
That's a good point. You do that. You make a very solid point there because you Swerve is another
Here's
one.
the other thing. Why'd Moxie leave? He didn't like the way he's being used by Vince.
That's a good point. But if they're willing to accept Shane O'Mac,
but Shane O'Mac only did one Royal Rumble, and it was the worst Royal Rumble in history. So, I mean, that look, Shane O'Mac, obviously he wasn't making any decisions. Vince told him to take a knife and stab him in the back because that's the only way we'll use your ideas because you have to kill me. Like, I mean, come on, man.
I'm trying to figure out a way. There has to be a way that if they bring Vince to
you know what you could give Vince McMahon
you don't
Collision. Give Vince McMahon Collision, keep Mercedes Moné on Dynamite. There you go. Vince McMahon's Collision.
All right, let me ask you this. If you were part of the WWE world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shane O'Mac was your boss. I'm not Shane O'Mac. Vince McMahon was your boss.
Yep.
You left WWE because of Vince McMahon. You went your way to AEW. And now you hear that AEW is thinking about bringing Vince McMahon. And you're signed to AEW. What will be
TK's door? Mr. Khan, can I talk to you real quick?
And what would you tell
be
him?
like? You can do what you want to do with your company, but I will not be in the same locker room as Vince McMahon.
Wow.
Did you see some of the things? Dude, remember this. He had control of the wrestling world. If he didn't want you to succeed, he held you down.
No doubt. I
he
will
made
say
people bark like a dog. I mean, come on, bro.
yeah, but back then we found that we saw that as entertaining.
We did.
Now we're looking at it like it was all.
But also, those people were doing that because there was nowhere else to go, and Vince knew that. So Vince could do as much crazy crap as he want to do. Because where are you going to go? Where are you going to go?
No doubt says might as well hire Pete Diddy if you bring Vince. Wow.
Oh, that's what you could do. What is it all the baby oil match? Vince and P. Diddy.
TK would definitely do something like that.
Oh yeah, I would do it, man.
I'm just.
And no, we never said Shane sexually abused anybody. I'm not sure if that was said in the chat or whatever, but I mean, no, we didn't. I don't think we said that.
No, I don't think if I said
we misspoke. I was never saying that Shane did any of that.
But here's my issue. I still think. I think there would be wrestlers who would feel the same way that you just mentioned. Hey, look, I'm not gonna do business with you, but you do have a contract with AEW to fulfill. But obviously, those contracts are kind of like whatever because
Well, that's going to be interesting too because there's that lawsuit out right now, and I feel like AEW put their foot in their mouth a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
What lawsuit are you talking about?
The Kevin Kelly and Tate, the guys that were with Dalton Castle. So AEW said that they are because remember AEW doing different here has given some wrestlers the way they classified them. They got medical and things like that, not like WWE where you're an independent contractor. But now they're trying to say they are independent contractors, but under rule of independent contractors, what they said was that if you can control the dates that they work or where they work or where they have to be, then, they're not necessarily an independent contractor. So there's a lot going on in the legalities of the wording, which might get interesting for both sides, by the way, too, because I believe WWE uses the same language for theirs, but they don't do the medical stuff. You're on your own. I mean, I think they send them to the doctors like James Andrews and the good, the sports medicine doctors and things like that. But like, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because of the wording in some of these contracts. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that is. There's always lawsuits when it comes to like independent contractors and stuff like that, or when you're being paid in salary, because there's so much controversy on that. Like I've worked in different companies where they are continuously trying to bring up lawsuits. So
I guess for me, honestly, too, man, like with TK, if I'm TK, and I know that, and I know this will never happen. So I'm again, fantasy booking here. I would under the table just go to WWE and be like, hey, let's just figure this out and work together.
Yeah, but WWE ain't gonna go ahead and they don't need them. That's the thing. AEW needs them, or would benefit from them.
Would benefit, yeah. I mean, but again,
WWE doesn't.
If they work out a deal that's beneficial for both, and then all of a sudden, I'm not saying like you get all of, but could you imagine like somebody from WWE just like whoop, popping like they did TNA? All of a sudden, it's like, bam! All of a sudden, they're on AEW TV. Now you start going. But again, that's kind of what they need to do. Remember, that's what WCW did. The problem is now with social media and everything like that, you can't. And plus, after that happened with NWO, now people see it, and it's like there's really no like craziness happening other than CM Punk showing up at WWE. But that even got out that he was going to show up, and everybody tuned in. It wasn't like he just showed up. Everybody's like, "Oh, wait a minute." I honestly didn't believe it because I just didn't think it would happen, but it did.
No, they kept the CM Punk kind of like kind of on the wrap.
Yes, but there was things like, oh, CM Punk's here. Would he come out? Nobody knew like is he going to come out or whatever and things like that. So, AEW versus NXT type thing. I mean, I just think you've got to figure out a way to get the casual wrestling fan back engaged with your product. And the other thing is this too. They're talking about going to Fox. You can't put plastic bag on people's head in Fox Network, bro.
No, you can't. Even if it's on Fox Sports 1,
FS2, whatever the hell you're on.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. You can't even say holy shit. They block it out. They beep like a minute of audio. You can't even hear the announcers for a minute after the crowd starts chanting.
But in that case, that wouldn't be AEW's fault. In that case, that would be Fox's fault because Fox
it's not. Fox is network TV. They have to abide by.
No. But what I mean, Fox's fault in the sense of, hey, this is what if Fox is tuning into AEW's content, they should know that this is the route that they go.
And AEW is going to come cheap.
Yeah, but AEW is also going to say, hey, look, this is our contract. This is how much you're going to pay guaranteed. All right, perfect. We're signing it. They don't give a damn if they get viewers or no viewers, because at the end of the day, they got a guaranteed contract saying, hey, they're going to be signed with Fox for 5 years, let's just say. That's it. So whether their numbers, their viewership keeps going higher or they decrease for AEW, it doesn't matter because they already signed it. And they're lower down their content. They won't scream, they'll bleep out stuff. They won't do the whole thing. So it will hurt Fox if they made that decision. I know they're desperate for wrestling, but AEW sell for the wrestling fan, their sale is extreme sometimes. We want to do bags, we want to do blood, we want to do curse words, throwing the middle fingers, all that stuff. That's how they sell their wrestling compared to the other wrestling companies. They're not as extreme as ECW, but they have their moments, they have their style.
And can I tell you something? I was looking at the contracts where NXT only went for like 25 or 30 million. And I was like, damn, what the hell are they doing? But now I'm looking at this going, dude, they're geniuses. They're going to keep getting these high numbers. And then when that contract ends in 2 or 3 years, they're going to be like, you want us or what? What you paying now?
No, and not to mention
in the 700 and 800s. I mean,
and not to mention, Sean, like, they're gonna get sponsors left and right just for CW. Being now in CW. So it's like it's a win-win for them, no matter what. They're smart in that aspect. That's why for me, I would tell you right now, AEW getting an offer from Fox makes sense for AEW to sign it because they're gonna win no matter what. Whether their viewership goes lower than what it is or stays the same or goes higher, they got their money's worth. The ones that kind of have to make that decision, hey, do we want to bring this type of content over to Fox? It's Fox. They're the ones that are gonna.
I don't know if they're gonna do it, but we'll see what happens. I mean, again, they've already got it at Fox ESPN, Fox Mexico, and no doubt AEW is going to Max. Their pay-per-views are going to Max. The only thing different is going to be this: you have to pay the subscription fee, and then there's going to be a fee for the pay-per-view. I don't know if it's going to be as much as it is now, like a full price thing, or if it's going to be like a $30 thing for the pay-per-view, or what. That hasn't been discussed. But you'll have to have Max and then pay extra for the.
Let me ask you this: if Max does, how much is Max? I think it's $8 a month.
I think it's $9.99. Most of them are about $9.99.
Okay, so let's say it's
and
$10.
You can get maybe you can get maybe $9.99 is no ads, $8.99 is ads or something.
Correct. Let's say they do that, and then they say, hey, you know what? For the pay-per-views, they're all going to be $15. Is it still worth it? $15, yes, for each pay-per-view.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, right? That wouldn't be bad.
No. Yeah, I think now they're like $69 almost.
This past Saturday, it was $49.99. It was $50. But there was other streams online.
The one thing AEW does deliver on is pay-per-view, man. Their pay-per-views are usually all on spot.
Again, we got to find out how they do it with Max, because I was seeing online there was some, so it wasn't YouTube. I think YouTube was at 50. There was another, because I was looking to try to buy it, and then I found it and they were selling it for $34, the pay-per-view. And I was like, okay, that's not that bad. It's cheaper than the 50. But if you do Max and you do it for $15, I think that would be a hell of a bargain. I would do it. Like, I wouldn't mind that, because then you're getting Max and then you pay $15. It's not so bad. Literally, you could get maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 pay-per-views for $60. In other words,
yeah, which right now you're paying almost one for.
Exactly. So, like, I think that would make sense. I don't think that would be bad. Now, are they going to go that low? I have no idea.
Yeah, and then the other interesting thing is, do they take away from all the other places that they have right now? Because they have like 6 places you can get the pay-per-view at.
Well, they took out a bleacher. Oh, that's true. Yeah, because a lot of people will, and that's going to also hurt the other things, right? Because if you are all of it Max, and
I'm not going to pay 40 on
yeah,
I can go pay 15 on Max.
Yeah, why am I going to pay on YouTube
I paid $24?
Yeah. Like, why am I going to pay on YouTube $60? Yeah. I could get it at Max cheaper. So that's a good point. Eventually, that might be that's why it can't be that cheap. That's why it's going to have to be still pricey.
That's gonna yeah, you're right. You can't. There's no way competitors are gonna be like, wait a minute. I got to throw it for 49 and you get it for 15 over there. What are we doing here?
I mean, the only way would be if YouTube says,
internationally, you can do whatever you want to do, but I don't know in the US if that's going to work.
Yeah. So, yeah. No Doubt says they would sell so much more and make more money that way. And it would also increase normal viewership. But see the conflict of interest between doing that with Max and then doing that with like YouTube and stuff like that. Like, they're going to be asked, they're going to be questioning, because I don't understand why AEW does that. Like, why do they have, why are they doing that, Sean? Why do they offer their pay-per-views in different multiple platforms? Why don't they just do it on 1 or 2 things and that's it?
Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know what the thinking is behind it.
I've never seen that before.
No.
It just doesn't make
that many platforms to be able to
yeah, because you have, at one point in time, you have Bleacher Report, you had
in the US there was 8 of them. There was 8 options up there. I was like, and 2 of them I don't even know what the hell they were. I never even heard of like 2. One, there were like 2 stream things. I was like,
yeah, they had Triller, they had Bleacher Report, they had YouTube. I mean, now you got a Max. They removed Bleacher, but you have so many of them. I don't know why they did that. Unless they're getting a cut for each one, I have no idea. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the audience. Maybe they're trying to cater to everybody, because obviously some people are going to sign up for YouTube and some people are going to sign up for Triller. I guess that's their mindset. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it a coincidence that WWE has the Peacock deal? Well, they've had the Peacock deal, and it has helped with their pay-per-views because it's become affordable. Because Could you imagine having to pay $49.99 for each night of WrestleMania, or each night of SummerSlam coming up, or each night of whatever else they do for when they go 2 nights? Because it seems like every major pay-per-view looks like they're going to go for 2 nights. So it's going to be interesting to see, again, how they go. Because they did stay with USA for SmackDown, so technically they could still keep the Peacock deal. So,
but we didn't get your perspective on the WWE side. What do you think about the whole Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso needing help, and who do you think is going to be the person that they're going to ask for help for?
well, I think they kind of showed a little bit last night with you got a second, and he walked away. I don't even know if they showed that on Raw. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch all of Raw, but I saw the clip of Jimmy Uso in Jey Uso's locker room when he walked in.
Yeah, but Jey Uso turned him down. He's like, I don't.
He just left. But again, that's where I think you're going to start seeing Paul Heyman. I think you're going to start seeing influence from outside. I don't know that you bring in like a Zilla or one of the.
That's what I was thinking of bringing in somebody else from the family.
I don't know if you do that for Roman's side, because to me they're the bloodline that's been in pro wrestling longer. That's why I always thought Jacob would kind of go to that side, which I don't know if it's going to happen or whatever happens there. But I felt like he was going to go over there because it feels like everybody that's been in for longest time is kind of on the older style of the bloodline, not the newer side of the bloodline with Solo. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, you're not going to get anything right away. We're still 2 pay-per-views away. Or no, well, 1 because you got Crown Jewel. And then Survivor Series will be the War Games match, which I think is going to be the tribal, the Civil War. Don't know yet. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see. But I think, again,
but did you
when everything's all said and done, Jay gets in there.
Did you like the fact that whatchamacallit, that damn it, I just lost my train of thought here.
What's up, Chad? What's up? Nope.
Let me go back a little bit here. Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker next week. Who do you got winning that one? Because I was talking about it earlier, and I just feel like that belt it's always changing hands now. Like it's completely different than what it was before. Gunther held it for so long, and now all of a sudden it's changing hands left and right. And I get the vibe.
Where's that Raw at? Do we know? Do you know where I thought? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. I was just wondering, like, man, see, if it was like a couple more weeks away, if it was like 2 or 3 weeks away, I would say the bloodline gets involved, which changes Jay's thinking, and they cost him the title. But I don't know that happens that quick. Like, I don't think they can get involved now, because then now you tip your hand to where Jay goes back before. I think that whole part turns after Crown Jewel. I think leading up to Crown Jewel, they're going to keep, dropping little eggs here and there, and then you'll see it take form right after Crown Jewel is my thing. So I think Jay keeps the title.
Really? I honestly feel that the Braun Breaker is going to beat him. I think they keep selling these.
The only good thing is that one can go either way, and as long as they keep them both strong, neither one will lose anything.
I think so. You're right about that. I think you're right about that. I don't think it goes wrong either way. I believe next Monday, the 21st, it's in Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center.
The city of what? Brotherly love.
You know what? That brings a good thing here. Maybe Braun Breaker is about to beat Jey Uso, and then his brother Jimmy Uso comes and saves him.
Yeah, but that's where I was thinking. Like, I feel like you're gonna get like Jacob or somebody show up from the other side, kind of not necessarily do anything to Jay, but distract them enough for Braun to spear him.
I like how you compare like the storylines with where they're at, like where the location, because it makes sense. It makes so sense. It makes perfect sense. I'm gonna start looking into where the Raw is.
Here's the funny part about it is I don't think I've ever been right on any of this stuff. It's always been like fantasy booking, like, God, I wish this would happen. It's like, oh, that sounds so good, and then it doesn't happen, then I'm like, Triple H sucks. That guy can't book his way out of a brown paper bag. No, I'm just kidding. But I wish, sometimes I just think a lot into it. And again, I like the deep storytelling, man. I love little deep storytellings, dude. You know how I am with that stuff, man.
Yeah.
No doubt asked Sean, what is the deal with KO and Cody? What have you seen on the Twitter streets? It's very interesting, that whole situation. Now Randy got involved. Like KO, I was thinking it was going to be KO and Randy together. And maybe ultimately it might, but they turned on each other.
I like that. I like the fact
I like the whole thing because you don't know what's what.
I like this KO though. Finally, they're not making. Keep them like this. Keep them like an asshole.
I just love now Grayson Waller's like, oh, remember what I put out there? Not so far fetched now, am I? Remember we did the whole thing about turning on Sammy number 1, turning on Sammy number 2.
Yeah. Well, that's what I like that KO. You know me, I hated when the KO was like, I shouldn't get a title fight because I don't deserve it and shit.
But that's where again, it's the old school mentality of wrestling booking. You go to your lowest, and then you either turn dark or you fight your way back up to get to the top. And that's the way the old school used to go. It's like all of a sudden the guy would go on a losing streak and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then it was like, oh, I think it's my time. I got to figure something out. And then the next week he turns and he hits, Dusty with a chair or something. It's like, what the hell? And that's kind of what KO did. If you're going to go after somebody, punch the biggest guy, and the biggest guy is your champ. And he went and punched him right in the nose. Beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting there, man. And I did like the way SmackDown ended, too, by the way. I like the fact that Roman's down and Jimmy's just yelling over, we need help.
Yeah.
We need help. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, finally. Because it's like Roman, every time he came out with Superman, it was just beating everybody, and then Jacob would take him down. And this time, the three of them kind of got the numbers game, of course. Again, it's what happens with the bloodline. But the fact that they kept them down, and then Jimmy's like, and then also during the promo at the beginning, when he was like, yeah, but we don't have anybody. It's like, it's they're speaking the truth on there. It's like, it's just me and you, bro. It's me and you.
Let me ask you this, because I mentioned it at the beginning when I was riding solo on the show. Do you like this whole situation where they're trying to do this up and down with Solo? Like, obviously he lost against Roman and all that, and Cody and Bad Blood, but now you had him against Jimmy Uso and he beats Jimmy Uso, so now they're trying to build him up again. Yeah. But what solidifies him as like the leader? Like I always get
thing is, I don't think he's going to be, because again, remember when the final boss showed up, they had the fans record this part of it. He said, "This is all part of the plan. This is all part of the plan." So I think The Rock is pulling the strings. He's just there to be the guiding light, the guiding force. He'll call himself the tribal chief right now. But I think ultimately you're going to end up seeing the final boss become, I don't even know if he'll become the tribal chief, because if he's the final boss, everything runs through him. So
now you mentioned something. No doubt mentioned something. We got a wise man hint too. Mm-hmm. Did we get a wise man hint? What was the wise man hint?
Yeah. Oh God.
Do you remember? I don't remember. But by him bringing up the wise men, that also brings in a factor here where maybe Paul Heyman starts bringing some of his guys to help Roman Reigns.
Oh, don't do this shit, man. No.
Why not? Like, why wouldn't you?
Going with this? I know. No.
You could bring CM Punk over. You could bring CM Punk over. They need the help. You don't want to bring family. They're family, right? You don't want to bring Zilla on the Roman side. So if you're going to stick with the crew, if you're going to stick with the wrestling roster that you have, maybe you start bringing some of the guys from Paul Heyman vibes. So what you do, think about this. Think about this. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. They need 2 guys, because it's going to be Solo, have a Fatu, and the other 2 guys. Okay, so it's 4 of them. So 4 of them. And then on the Roman side, it's only him and Jimmy. Right? Screw Cody. We don't need Cody right now. We'll push Cody to the side. Paul Heyman comes, brings in 2 of his best men to come and help Roman Reigns. You know who they are. And this is all gonna plan out in Survivor Series. CM Punk's music hits and look in my eyes, and then people go crazy, and then all of a sudden, the next person you don't know because while they're promoting it in Survivor Series, they have like the 2 little like blacked out characters throughout the whole way, all the way to the end, all the way to the show, and then all of a sudden you hear what song do you think I'm gonna play, Sean? What song do you think would be the one that you would want to hear come out with Paul Heyman?
Yeah, how it is. I know exactly what you're doing as soon as you brought up.
Goldberg, I mean Goldberg. Brock Lesnar, baby. You bring in the man, you bring him back, and all of a sudden there's no way that group would lose. Between Roman, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, there's no way those guys lose against the Bloodline. The Bloodline would get annihilated.
The guy getting a beating all the time.
That's the only guy that would be like outside. But look, you're bringing like it would be a good push for Jimmy because all of a sudden he's like with all those stars. But that would be amazing. That would be amazing. That would be what the fans would want. All of a sudden,
that's what one fan wants.
Yes, you bring him, man, Brock Lesnar. Bring him back. Bring him back for
Oh man, we'll see. We'll see how they play it out. We'll see. They got a long time, man. Because when is Crown Jewel? Is what? That's
November. November the 2nd, I believe.
Oh, is it in November as well?
I believe.
So Survivor Series the end of November, and Crown Jewel's the beginning of November.
I'll tell you right now. Crown Jewel is scheduled for November the 2nd.
November 2nd, yep. All right.
Yes, sir. So it should be good.
Yeah, I might miss that one. Damn it.
Why? Why are you going to miss that one? Where are you at?
Buffalo. We're flying to Buffalo Saturday.
Buffalo. Should be fun.
I'm not happy about it.
Go visit Niagara Falls.
I mean, it's like...
Have you been to Niagara Falls?
Nobody wants to go to Buffalo.
Have you been to Niagara Falls?
No, actually, that's what we're doing it from a bar in Niagara Falls. So.
But have you ever been to Niagara Falls, or you've never?
No, it's first time doing it.
Okay, so the Niagara Falls sucks on the Buffalo side, but I will tell you this: hopefully, it's November, so it might be a little bit cold. It might be snowing. Might be. But check this out. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Not a blizzard. I'm good.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not so bad if it ain't, because remember you had that chill, that wind chill that came down. That's why it was cold up there right now in New York and stuff. But when me and my brother went to Buffalo for the Dolphins Buffalo game, we went and it was snowing, but it wasn't that bad. Even though the Buffalo side sucks from Niagara Falls, when it's snowing and you see the icicles and you see everything frozen, it's beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. You don't get the same view as like when you get it when you're in the Canada side, but it's still such a badass type of view. That's why a lot of people were saying, hey, look, Buffalo sucks, Niagara Falls sucks when in the Buffalo side, but if you go and you see it like frozen, it's really cool because it's a different type of view you're seeing than what the normal casual person would go and see it in the summer. So that's why hopefully you get to check it out, because that was badass, man. I loved it. I thought that was really cool. And a lot of people don't like the Buffalo side, but I like that one. That one was pretty cool.
We got the tale of 2 weeks. We go to Buffalo in the beginning of November, and then the following week we're in Los Angeles.
Damn, you're going up north, and then you're getting all the way to the West Coast.
Yep.
Crazy. Cool vibes though. New York and LA.
Yeah, and then we're in Indianapolis this weekend. So 3 of the next 4 weeks we're traveling.
Oh, you're in. When are you leaving to Indianapolis?
Saturday.
Oh, okay. So you're not gonna be able to watch the Louisville destroy this weekend?
Well, I'll be able to watch the beginning of Louisville getting their ass whooped, and then I'll have to watch the rest on the plane. Are we doing this again? I
am live streaming for y'all.
We're doing it every week until they finally lose, huh?
I might have another guest. And I have a fan who wants to really join the live stream reaction, so I'll be bringing him in. This time it's going to be a little bit more interactive. I'm going to bring some sound effects, some stuff to help with you guys. Not sound effects, so screw that. But definitely Louisville sound effects and stuff like that. I mean, I just hope that Louisville comes through. But it's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm sure they won't.
I want to
Frank
throw like a barbecue party
says,
and everything.
don't go anywhere near Fort Drum, New York, and you won't get as much snow. All right. Oh, I don't mind snow. I just don't want blizzard. Like, I don't want blizzard. Go UM.
Yeah, Cheyenne, you crazy.
I'll squash Frankie, no problem.
Come on, Cheyenne. You see my shirt? Do you see who it is?
Beginning of November, it's still nice in Buffalo. You'll be fine. Okay. All right. We'll take it. All right.
Don't go near Fort Drum, New York, and you won't get much snow. Yeah. There's nothing to do in Buffalo, man.
I basically what we're doing is I believe the bar is that we're broadcasting from is in Niagara Falls, New York. I don't know how that's set up, so I don't know. And I believe we're right above that is the Airbnb. So like we're not even leaving that area, I believe, is pretty much how we're doing it.
So Niagara Falls is not close to the stadium of Buffalo.
No, we're not going to stadium. We're not going to stadium.
Okay.
We figured out that wasn't. We did that in Seattle, and we barely got there, and then we had to haul ass back in the train. It was like the metro rail here. It's not a fast mover. It's like.
Yeah, you're gonna be. I think you're gonna be maybe an hour, or maybe an hour and 20 minutes away from the stadium, if you're all the way in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
So it's quite away from the stadium, maybe even further. But look, if there's anything to do, there's nothing to do in Buffalo except Niagara Falls. That's the only thing that's really cool.
Well, that's where we're gonna be. So that's
that's the only cool thing. Like if I told my brother,
flying in basically on Saturday, and then Sunday's the gate, and we're out Monday.
Yeah.
So
Buffalo sucks.
We're not going like.
There's two cities that I think are trash, and when I mean trash, I mean boring. Like there's nothing to do. Buffalo is one, and then number 2 is Cleveland, Ohio. That
I wouldn't go to Cleveland at all.
Cleveland is terrible, dude.
When WWE did that pay-per-view, I was like, what?
I mean, that's good for them because they never have anything going on for them over there. So that must I get them why they did it over there because there's nothing over there. Cleveland sucks, man. It's terrible.
Sucks. Oh my goodness.
I've been to Cleveland so many times because Progressive headquarters is in Cleveland, so they sent me there tons of times, and it gets worse and worse every single time. Like I'm like, I don't know why you keep sending me here. Like send me to they have another office in Scottsdale, Arizona. Send me over there. That Scottsdale, Arizona is nice. I like Scottsdale, Arizona. That's nice. Arizona's cool state.
I worked with State Farm before, and they're in Illinois. And I'd never heard of the place in Illinois, but then AEW wrestled there, and I was like, oh, other people go there. When I got there, like the car, they got us the car and everything. So I get to this place, and it's like there's like 5 big buildings of like companies. I don't know if they're all insurance companies or whatever. And that was like the town, man. It wasn't like this huge thing.
Well, Progressive had 3 main headquarters. Obviously the one in Ohio, they had one here in Florida, and then they had one in Arizona. They kept the one in Scottsdale. No, they closed the one in Scottsdale. They closed the one here in Florida, and they only kept the one in Ohio.
Makes sense.
Everything changed once everything went virtual. So a lot of these offices, they didn't need it anymore. So they were like,
a lot of people realize, like, wait a minute, what are we doing here?
It's cheaper. It's way cheaper.
Yeah.
More cost effective. We could why fly people across the country, and if we could just do it on Zoom. And it's no hotel, no food, no nothing,
no flight, no
nothing. They saved a ton of money.
So, all right, Frankie, let them know where they can get you, man.
You guys can follow me at Fresco Music on all social media platforms. And then obviously you guys can tune into my channel, the Frankie Fresco channel. Obviously tomorrow we're finally coming back. I know last week we did not have the show. I had to work. So it was like a little bit rough for me. So, and my brother was he was having some internet connection. So I kind of just said, hey, we'll just postpone it. Obviously tomorrow I will be on, whether my brother shows up or not, I will be on. So check me out at the Frankie Fresco YouTube channel. Let me talk to you 8:00 tomorrow night.
If you need any help, I'll be there for you, man. And you can reach me at Stanley Media House 11 on X. And I'm at Stanley Media House on IG Thread. And that's it. And then also right here, Stanley Media House Network on YouTube. When they get everybody tuned in on X and then on both YouTube channels, please subscribe. If you're watching on Stanley Media House Network, subscribe, hit the like button, transfer over to Frankie Fresco YouTube channel, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Vice versa, if you're watching from Frankie Fresco, jump over to Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. We appreciate each and every one of you. Cheyenne in tonight, no doubt in as well. Chad was in. Let's see who else running through. Steven Gonzalez was in. Appreciate you as always, my friend. Terry was in. I think that was a little bit before me.
Yeah. Your dad?
My dad was in. Appreciate you for tuning in.
And shout out to all you guys who stuck around with me. I know this was like the first time I do it by myself for the first hour.
And I appreciate Frankie Fresco for doing that. I was like, hey, the link's there if you want to go, man. I just can't jump on right away. So
yeah,
I'm
no,
going to be able to. So at least you got some wrestling talk, and we'll be here again next Tuesday. Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes. Next Tuesday. Yes. Up until the LA Tuesday is the one we fly back in on Tuesday. And then that's when I want to start my new method of what I'm going to be doing.
Method of Madness. Yes.
Method of Madness is coming your way on the Stanley Media House Network YouTube channel. And Frankie Fresco is going to be a part of it.
And if you,
I just let him know.
And if you want to come on Saturday for the live reaction, at least for like 10
yes, you want to watch Frankie cry again.
We're not crying.
Oh, but no, actually, I'll tell you what, this is what it's going to have. Frankie Fresco for 3 quarters straight.
I hope
hammering. Yeah, look at it. The Cow Bears. Go Cow, go Cow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fourth quarter rolls around. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
I hope that doesn't happen. You know what's crazy though? Like I said, out of all the shows that I've done, that was the most watched show I've ever done on my channel.
You're terrible at doing this.
So a lot of people No Doubt really said that.
No, he said you did well, Frankie.
But
in No Doubt language, that is terrible. Terrible.
And the crazy part about it was that, like I said, a lot of you guys love my misery. So if, for example, the starts whooping the crap out of Louisville in the first half, I'll probably turn off the stream. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would just jump on board just to talk smack to me, because yeah, I don't know, man. I right now it looks like Louisville just won this past weekend, so they're riding high. You know,
He's not about Cal.
Did you see Cal lost again? Pathetic. That's why I'm not a Cal fan anymore. Told you, you gave me for 24 hours.
Like
if you can't get
buddy.
If you can't get the job done, then you don't deserve Frankie Fresco as a fan.
You are dead to me.
And they lost by 2 points to Pittsburgh. Again, they lose by 1 point and then they lose by 2 points.
You know what's funny? I picked Pitt in that game.
Well, Pitt is undefeated this year, bro.
That loss that Cal got to the U, that leaves that you don't recover from that in a week, man.
That's true. That's a good point. I mean, they were in it. They were in it.
I'm just saying they're going to play tough. They're a good team, but they just make too many mistakes when they can't. They're not good enough to make as many mistakes as they make when they make them.
They're a better team. I can't even say that because they lost to UM. But technically, they played a little bit better when they were at home than away, because it was bad. But we'll see, man. I'm disappointed in Florida, man.
No Doubt had a fantastic weekend last week. Neither one of his teams lost.
Yeah, it was hard.
It
was hard for me, man, because I was rooting for the Gators against Tennessee. I watched that whole game, man.
Oh, that was rough, man. That was rough.
It's just Florida be making some dumb mistakes. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well,
they're Cal. They can't make those mistakes and win, man.
Not only that, but then we you know, and I told you this. I think I was text messaging you this because I remember I sent you a picture. Oh no, I sent a picture of my brother. That's what it was. My brother asked me, he's like, Frankie, are you watching the game? I'm like, dude, and I had 3. I had the
Why do you talk to your brother during games?
Because he text messages me, because he's always doing like parlays. So actually, you know what? We want to incorporate that to the Let Me Talk to You podcast. We want to put a parlay segment on there where we're talking about our bets. Even
Make sure you put before there that you guys are not betting Trust me, because somebody gonna put their house on the line and be like, "Hey, goddamn, let me talk to you. Show done took all my stuff away from me."
Well, that's where I was going, no doubt. So I had all three of them. I had the AEW pay-per-view in my laptop. I had the USA versus Panama game going on my other TV, and then I had the UF Tennessee Florida game going on. And Florida was doing really well, and finally Napier had kind of figured out something where he was interchanging the quarterbacks. He was putting Merch for a couple of drives, and then he'll put the other kid, the new kid, the freshman, Legway, and then he would turn him around. And then once Merch got hurt, I was like, God damn it, this crap sucks, and he's out. Like, he's out for the whole season. He's not coming back.
Hey, you already wrote the letter to the fans. Thank you. Thank you for your time at the University of Florida. I'm out.
Yeah, he's done for the year. But I mean, I guess Legway obviously made it. He tied it, and it was able to go to overtime. But it just, again, Florida with dumb mistakes, man. Dumb mistakes. Like 3 points. They should have been winning by at least 9 points. They missed on 2 field goals that they should have scored in that first half. So it was just, learning curve. I don't know if Billy Napier is going to survive this season, though. After the season,
I think he survives the season. I don't know about after. They got $26 million, man. They just paid off the last guy, and now as soon as they pay him off, now they have to pay this guy off 26.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, the alumni don't mind dishing out money, man.
No, they don't
Not
mind.
that
It's
much.
not that. It's just, but now, do you trust people to get the right guy in, though? And who is the right guy? College football's changed, man.
It is, man.
It's not the old, Nick Saban days where you get a good recruiting coach. No, you got to be able to do NIL deals. You got to be able to it's college is pros now almost.
You know what's funny? And I'll tell you this. I'll be very blunt with you.
Oh boy,
the University of Florida always sends me cards and letters saying, "Hey, Frankie, such an alumni and all that stuff. Make sure you contribute to the University of Florida." Dude, I swear to God, I get a letter from them almost every 2 weeks asking me to contribute. I'm like, why am I going to pay you guys money? You got a ton of money. And second of all, you got more richer alumni than me.
You're the reason they can't sign those guys on the NIL deal.
I'm not rich. I'm a working
progressive money.
I'm middle class, working hard individual. I'm not balling like that. I'm not Ocala Joe. I'm not a whale. Sorry. I'm not. Even though hopefully Bitcoin blows up for me because thank God Bitcoin went. Shout out to Big O, man. Guy put me on Bitcoin and I haven't gone back, bro. Like I'm all in on Bitcoin too. So it's been profitable. Not gonna lie.
There you go. All right. Till next Tuesday for me. Don't forget tomorrow. Tune in. Let me talk to you. For Frankie Fresco, his brother possibly, or maybe another guest. We don't know yet. But let me talk to you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Frankie Fresco and possibly the Trapio, possibly not the Trapio, possibly another guest. Who shall it be? You got to tune in at 8 p.m. and find out. For Frankie Fresco, I am Sean Stanley, and we are out of here. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.